You have some people subsidize those who do. It's not
Okay,
fair.
guys, the recording started. I'd like to open the meeting up.
Why do you always put that in front of me? Christ, put it at the end of the table.
It's
Meeting.
7:01. We'll start the meeting. I'll call the meeting to order and show that we have all 6 Board of Finance members present. Rob and Nikki are online. And in the room, we have Dave, Brian, Nate, and Steve. Next up on the agenda is citizen comments. We'll start in the room. Are there any citizens in the room that would like to make a comment at this time? If so, please state your name and address. And we'd like to keep to a 3-minute maximum, given the amount of work that we have ahead of us and the number of people that we have engaged in the process. Is there anyone in the room that would like to make a comment?
Yes,
Please go.
Sean Brissett, Lowell Davis Road. I don't know how much you guys are on social media and if you're listening, but I'm sure I'll get ripped for saying that everybody's ignorant. But the ignorance that I'm seeing, stuff like they're just going to keep putting it out there until it passes. Yeah, you have to have a budget. This whole close the school mentality, close the high school mentality. They never are willing to answer the obvious question that comes when they suggest that, which is, then what? What's next? You guys see this. You know that the school is working on virtual bare minimums. There's laws that say you have to provide X, Y, and Z, whether it's transportation, whether it's special education, whether it's a certain math class, even though there's 3 kids in it. The laws are there that say they have to do it. Now, there's not a law that says we have to subsidize people's trash removal. Okay, that is roughly a $220,000 to $250,000 swing that you could get year one by closing the transfer station and selling off the assets and leasing it to an outside entity. They're all big into outsourcing stuff, so outsource the transfer station. No law that says we need a transfer station. No law that says we need a library. No law that says we need a rec department. I don't know if there's a law that says we need to pave the roads. Is there a law that says we need to plow the roads? But if they're gonna continue on this, we need, a 15 mill rate, we need more cuts, we're gonna keep voting no, we need bare minimum, then go to bare minimum. What they fail to understand is the laws in place that are putting the school at virtually a bare minimum now, but we have all these other things that we do in town that we don't legally have to fund. I could sit here and say, I don't use the library, I don't use the rec department, I barely use the transfer station anymore because since they stopped taking so much stuff, I go to Webster now and just pay for it. So I could say, why am I paying for all this stuff? I never have, but at this point, you gotta find the money somewhere. And again, it's a quick 250 grand and then we're done ever having to buy compactors, roll-offs, transfer. I would feel awful for Josh because he loves it. But at the end of the day, that's 250 grand that you could get with the snap of a finger. And I heard the idea of raising the rates, but why are we in the business of trash anyway? So I'd be looking at options like that. If they want to fund bare minimum, give them bare minimum.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else in the room would like to make a comment?
Hi, Wayne O'Brien, 108 Fabian Road. I've known him for a long time. He was on the board. He voted to get rid of the busing. Cost the town a lot of money since that came up. He even said it was one of the worst votes he ever made. Now, no offense, going after people just because you don't like the way they vote. I'm sorry, that's not the right way to do it. There needs to be communication and done civilly. Everything has to be done civilly. Yes, there are needs for cuts. We need to find it. I'm sorry, but that's what it comes down to. I think people got scared when they saw what the grand list went up to. I think all of that just snowballed right onto you, and then to be putting another $1.1 million on the school side and saying it's okay. Well, no offense, He's right. We gotta fund it, but do we really have to have a high school for just over 200 kids? We can outsource that and do a very well job. We could ask the state to take that whole complex over and turn it into a vocational school, and then go for a brand-new K through 8 that would absolutely help our kids get educated. But these are hard choices that have to be made. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Rob, I know I spoke already, but somebody out lied, and I'm gonna stand here and say, I never said that was the worst vote ever. That was the smartest thing the school ever did. We were underwater with those buses, and we'd never have to buy buses again. I never said I disagreed with that vote, ever.
Okay, let's, all right. Is there any other citizen in the room that would like to make a comment at this time? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the virtual online. Is there anyone on Zoom, any citizen, not anyone, any citizen on Zoom that would like to make a comment at this time? Valerie Clark has her hand up. Can we unmute Valerie, please, and give her the floor? Valerie, I think it's yours.
Okay, it took a minute to unmute, sorry.
Okay, please. We know
Valerie,
you. Please state your name. Thank you. Go ahead.
Valerie Clark, Alm Road. The last time that I spoke at a Board of Finance meeting, I said, good start and to keep going. And this was with the cuts. And then the next thing I knew, we were spending the 12,000 or whatever dollars it takes to run a referendum just to confirm the old adage of the definition of insanity, which is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. Referendum number 2 shows that the taxpayers, and it was virtually the same result as referendum number 1, shows that the taxpayers expect the Board of Finance to make changes which offset the devastating impact of the reevaluation. What this tells me is that there's probably something wrong with the reevaluation. There's probably also some things wrong with the budget. I suspect that it's both, but unfortunately, the reevaluation ship sailed. So now the burden's on you to correct for both budget issues and the problems with the reevaluation. And I am so sorry that you are in that position. But as far as what you're looking at, I would recommend looking back at the town hall full-time equivalent employees at about 20 years ago, line that up against the positions that we have now and adjust accordingly. And then next is obviously you have to tackle the school budget. You've all been doing the budget work for much longer than anyone else and have that expertise. So please do right by the townspeople and the majority of the voters. Thank you.
We lose them?
Rob, you're muted. Rob, you're muted.
I can't unmute myself. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for your comment. Any other citizen on the Zoom would like to make a comment at this time? Okay, hearing none, or seeing none, we'll move to budget workshop on the agenda, our next item. And before we jump right in, I'd like to give the Board of Finance members an opportunity to open up with any comments that they have relative to the budget, relative to the referendum, et cetera. I'll start with Nikki online. Nikki, would you like to go first?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Rob. I appreciate it. You know, I go back and forth. I know I've made some comments, you know, when we were all talking earlier and different things, but the thing that I realized is that there are two pillars to what is going on right now. One of them is the townspeople and what they're saying as they vote. And then the other is the financial responsibility that we have to the town. And unfortunately, right now, those are in conflict. There is no ability to run a business or a municipality or anything when you can't pay your bills. And you can't just go and take out of your savings or out of your surplus to offset costs when you don't know what the challenges are that we're facing. We are not the same town as years ago. The world is not the same. There are things that are popping up left and right that we need to be able to take care of. Bringing the surplus up from where it was is what is necessary to then go and bring it back down. I'm not really in on. I think that we need to look at the school. I agree, but I also think that we need to look at some of the places we haven't touched, some of the other buildings or functions that we have in town. I think we need to be cognizant of how low we go in all areas. There are things that are a legal responsibility and that we can't go below. So I'm not in on hitting a certain number. I'm not in on depleting surpluses. I'm really in on making sure that our town can be financially stable, whether that means we go through 2, 3, or 4 more referendums. I don't want to see us, in a sense, cutting our nose to spite our face based on not wanting to spend the money on the referendum. So I think it's a hard balance. I get that this is, still round 2 in a sense for me, but I think the big issue I see is that we have a conflict between what people would like to see, as much as I would with stuff being expensive, but we have a financial responsibility as well to the town and to the select men and women to make sure that they can run this town the way that it needs to be. Thanks, Rob.
Thank you. Thank you, Nikki. We'll move to the room. Steve, any opening comments that you'd like to share with the group?
Well, I sort of concur with a lot of what Nikki has said. We still need to set a budget that's appropriate for our town, to run the town. That's what we need to set a budget that does that. An attitude that says, just cut, it's not responsible. It's not responsible. And I worry about the school especially. If I recall correctly, even though the school's getting what appears to be a sizable increase, when you take out what's required for special ed, it was something like $14,000 available for an increase for the general ed population. $14,000, nothing basically. So you get basically no increase for the bulk of the school. That's irresponsible. That's my.
Thank you, Steve.
That's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Steve. Over to Nate.
Pretty much a lot of my thoughts have already been said. I do agree that there are certain priorities in this town and requirements that we have to meet. But just cutting away at everything and not worrying about the repercussions of what may happen in the future, if we need that funds to just shift it to another entity that wants it or needs it, is a problem for me. For example, I believe from the last meeting, paving pretty much is down to like nothing. So we have nothing for our roads because we had to shift it to the school or somewhere else. And it's like, what if we're going to be driving around nothing but potholes? People have to go to work. You got to keep buying rims because we have to cover things for something else. We have to definitely trim all avenues, but it's only fair that each place gets its own right amount. So those are things we have to look into as a whole.
Okay. Thank you, Nate. Brian?
I think as a town as a whole, the bringing up of the transfer station, we need to have some of these departments sort of be self-sufficient. And if that means that we have to go up in fees and so forth to try to make ends meet so that we can, get money for whether it's paving or school or whatever, I think we have to look into that. I keyed in on the transfer station only because it's a deficit every year. I certainly I pay $75 because I'm a senior citizen. Well, that's just bullshit. Putnam got out of the trash business. They're out of it. right? You know, and they're paying 100 hours a quarter, $400. You know, if we pay, I'm not saying we go to 400 hours, but Jesus, we can go 5 days a week to the transfer station for $75. That should be supporting itself. And if it can't, maybe it is something we have to look into. Everyone will have to get their own trash picked up. You know, I don't want to do that, but that's something that needs to be looked at. I think we have to look at fees that we charge for different things, you know, whether it's building official, maybe we have to go up on our fees to make ends work. You know, when we're sitting here cutting out $50 for travel because the guy in the, you know, the tax collector's office needs to go for training, I mean, we really hit a low point here. I understand the idea about the fund balance, not want to touch it, but you know what? Unfortunately, this situation is, we've gotten into a perfect storm where we need money and reval hurt us too, you know? And I certainly can understand what these people are voting no about, because they see that up on taxes, plus my property tax went up and we can't afford it. So I think this is one of the unique years where we're gonna have to do a little of everything. We're gonna have to, as much as I support the school, we're gonna have to take something from the school tonight. Gonna have to. We're gonna have to, one of the places we didn't look at was the library. Library took a skate through this all. Kills me to say that because my wife sits on the board. I got yelled at last night when I said I was gonna make a motion to take some money off of that, but everybody has to feel the pinch in some way. They skated through this whole process. We have to look at that. We're gonna have to take some money out of fund balance. And quite frankly, if we go below and the state comes in and says, this is your problem, the problem is the state did it to us. You wanna come in, come and sit with us. We'll show you the numbers. You screwed us in the school, you screw us in the town, you screwed us in the motor vehicle taxes, and now look what's happening to the small communities. You know, we're an alliance school system. We can only go so far. We can only go down so much. We can't go below it. You know, so we're stuck there. So my point is, tonight could be very simple. We're gonna make some cuts. We're gonna take some from different places. And unfortunately, I'm in favor of taking some from the fund balance. We had a number of money come in from unexpected revenue. We gotta use that, but we gotta get to a number that's equitable to everybody. And unfortunately, everybody's gonna take a hit.
Thank you, Brian.
But I'm not saying it's selectmen, but we have to look at our policies to make that places are somewhat self-sufficient, whether it's in the building office, whether it's what we're paying at the town clerk's office and things like that. You know, we're sitting in the good old boy years and when we should be what the big cities are doing. And that's, you want this, you gotta pay this amount of money.
Fair enough, Brian. Thank you very much. Dave, any opening comments or thoughts for the group?
Yes, I agree, especially with Brian tonight.
And we used to argue all the time 12 years ago.
It's my turn, Brian. I believe that we need to take a strong look at the school department. Talking to people in the community, whether they perceive it rightly or wrongly, their perception is not positive at this point. I spent 35 years in this school system. I pretty much understand what's going on. But that's going to be an area, I think, of a large decrease. I don't agree with Brian on the library. He's mentioned a number to me and I told him I disagree. But we have to put those things aside and we have to make some real tough decisions tonight. I think the library is an area we can look at. I think the Recreation Commission is an area. We have an assistant that's come on board in recent years. That might be a place that we can look at. The transfer station, I think we mentioned a month or so ago to our first selectman that they should be taking a look at the fees that they're charging. I haven't heard anything regarding that matter. So evidently, they haven't taken it up. It would have been nice if we could have heard this evening that the fee schedule has changed.
Yeah,
It's a hard decision. I was looking, to be honest with you, of coming in with a mill rate of 19. As far as I'm concerned, that's impossible. I don't think we can do it. It would be disastrous to the town, and not only to the town, but to the taxpayers, because the services that they are receiving now would become limited or disappear. So I think probably the best we can do tonight is to come in with the flat tax rate, which Bill gave us at the beginning of our deliberations back in March, of 19.29. That tax rate would generate the same income as the 28.11 tax rate of last year. And I think to get there, we're looking at something in the neighborhood of $700,000, Bill? Thank you, $740,000. So I think, for me, although I don't like it, I would be opposed to the budget if it didn't reach that level, at least a flat level. That's all, Rob.
Thank you, Dave. A lot of good insights, a lot of good perspective from the group. I appreciate that. Hopeful that the townspeople that are listening appreciate it. I'll give a couple of additional comments. I won't repeat things that were already said necessarily, but looking at the last round of work that we did take a lot out of the town. We brought the town below prior year by 2.8%. And the school was sitting at still about 4%, 4.1% above prior year. And I know it's painful for the school. Easy to say because they're big numbers, hard to do in terms of how do you react and deal with that. But I think the underlying message, at least that I received from the second round of a pretty dominant no. This isn't a marginal no. This wasn't, decided by 3 or 4 or 5 points. It was decided by a pretty massive margin. Is that the school is the perception is that the school is overfunded. Now, all or none of us can agree or disagree with that, but I think that's the perception of the people that are going to the polls and that are voting. I would also say, from a reality versus perception, at 1995, there's close to 40% of homeowners that will actually see a tax reduction. It was devastating as the reval is. In 1995, there were a large population of people within town that were seeing a tax reduction. Dave, if we can get to a 1929, that'll get closer to 50%, maybe even eclipse 50%. And we'll share those numbers on the output as we learn more. I think the comments around the library, perhaps there's some there. I don't think there's hundreds of thousands of dollars in the library budget, but perhaps we can defer some maintenance and maybe find a little bit there. And then surplus for me was an absolute no-go. Up until last night, I didn't want to have any even discussion around it. And my perception was I would vote absolutely no on a single dollar at a surplus, because I don't want to see us in a situation where we're hovering in the 5s and 6s because we pulled it down to 7 or 8 and then something bad happened. But having said that, I can find my way to, our surplus is just under 3 million. Call every 1% about 300,000. If we move from 10.1% to 1.9% to 9.1%, we pull up about 300,000. So I'm a little more open-minded tonight. I'm open to leaning into that a little bit, but I still think we need to be careful because we don't want to get ourselves in a situation where a few bad things happen. This year we close the year out, and then we roll into next year and more bad things happen, and we're in some serious trouble. So I think I'll pause there. A lot of good feedback. Now I'd like to open it up if anyone has any recommendations on, or motions or recommendations, next phase. And I just real quick before we go there, I'm going to continue to try to run this remotely. I think I can. I would just ask the members to bear with me as you go to jump in. Maybe just say my name or ask something, and then we'll do that remotely because I am at a distance.
Rob,
Yes, Dave, the floor is yours.
considering your concern regarding the undesignated surplus, I don't like to hit it because of the problems we've faced, but I'm looking at maybe 150 to 200,000. And I say that uncomfortably because next year we are whatever we take, we're starting out that much behind. Not only that, we have a bond float that comes on board next year, which is, do you have a number there, Bill?
Yes.
What the first year expense would be?
Of course, it's all the way at the back, so.
That's all right, we have time.
I'm here.
Hi, Nikki.
Sorry.
Would you get a stoplight? You could talk now?
I'm in town with no reception.
8,000.
All right. Bill just informed me, bonding next year, we're looking at an expense of 248,000.
Okay, thank you, Dave.
With, say, 200 to 300 from undesignated surplus, and this, we're looking at $500,000
Right.
before we even consider the budget next year. So I want people to realize that there are some serious concerns, not only this year, but whatever we do tonight will really be a serious concern next year.
And one of
Okay, anything else, Dave?
Yeah, I would, if you want to start, I would like to take a look at recreation.
Sure. Let's move to recreation. Do we have a page number?
No, I don't.
Okay,
Can you bring that up?
I'm working on it.
Okay, I think it's 3202 or 3.
Once you have a Hershey's Kiss, it'll speed you up.
Yep.
Yeah, the sugar high.
I should just look at, recreation is 5301. I don't have a page number, but that's the account number. Left mine at my office at work. Yeah. Mine's on the table.
You're better organized than I am.
No, I'm not.
Oh, absolutely.
Bill, do you have a page number?
Hold on.
Page 42. Look how efficient I am. My God.
Okay, Dave, back to you, page 42, recreation.
Yep, I'm waiting for Bill to pull it up.
Okay,
Second.
Make it
Okay,
smaller.
I'm looking at the Assistant Recreation Director. We're looking at an increase there, which includes the 4%, but it's more than that because additional time has been allotted. I'm really of the opinion that maybe we should cut the position, which is, we're looking at 40,385, is that correct, Bill?
Yes.
Dave, is that a thought for the group to think about, or is that
I'm
a
not-
motion?
A motion, I'm just tossing it out for discussion.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear. Any others have any comments on on this?
That there'd be some fringes on top of that.
Yes,
So,
so it could
Be 50 or.
I was gonna say
be
50.
60 or 70, depending on the policy involved.
That went up from what?
Well, there was an increase in hours.
Yeah, was
I
8 or,
don't, I
yeah.
don't know.
Bill?
It went, the hours
Well,
went
just-
from 28 to 32.
4 hours a week.
That also puts it into the fringe benefit category, I think.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
It's like the dollars went up, Brian, from about 34.
No, I don't, my question is, we can take out a line item. But it's an employee, is that up to the selectmen to, or it's not funded, so they have to,
We can deal with line items.
yeah.
Yeah, you can do it line items. Let's put that on the list. Why don't we put it on the list? And see what makes sense when we have a.
All right, so I'm gonna talk about the library.
Okay.
I was gonna ask you if you would do
The
that.
We
library,
had
So-
385?
so,
So Brian, real quick, just interject here. Steve suggested we put this,
I like Steve's idea, I'd like to get a right total, if we're making suggestions, if we get to a number that helps out everybody, then we can make a motion, boom, 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 and go down.
yeah, I don't disagree, Brian. I just wanted to have clarity that
So,
others,
can we just
before we
say-
jump to the library, that others are good with that. I'm good with that, but
So-
you know,
But can
it
we
was
use,
identified. We'll put it to the side for now, and you'd like to move to the library. Is everybody else good with
I
that?
get a more, if we're talking it has fringes, it's 40 and change, so maybe, let's say 50 would be conservative.
I don't know, probably greater than that.
Be honest with you, I don't think we should get into the whether one person has one type of fringes.
No, but I'm just saying, if there's benefits, the average, so it goes
Why
from
don't-
40
yeah,
to
well-
50.
Yeah. That's
That's what I'm saying.
Right, that's a good assumption.
So let's call it 50 for now. We can zero in on an exact number, Brian, if we act on it.
Yeah,
What page is the library? Let's just make sure we all get caught up. Let's go to the library next.
well, I mentioned the library only because we've gone through 2 referendums, we've gone through a number of a ton of budget workshops. They did come forward and offer to give up, I think it was like $5,000, which was very nice, but towns below what they were last year, school is gonna get decimated in some way. Everybody's gotta take a hit, and I said that, if everybody's here, has heard me say that, everybody's gotta take a hit. And 50,000 out of their $430,000 budget, it is a significant hit, but I think it's something they could absorb. We can't go line by line, but that'll be up to them, so I'm suggesting 50,000 out of the library.
I don't know, what's the total? I'm sorry, again, I apologize for having my book with.
I just was looking at last night, the total for them is like 400 and something thousand, 427.
I'd say at least that's not a day. That's not cutting them, they're open 7 days a week. It's not cutting them one day, I don't think.
Well, it depends, if you hit staffing, it's their choice, because.
Oh, of
course,
they're-
of course.
they're-
So I'm
It should be.
suggesting 50,000 out of a
So it
430,000
could be a
budget.
combination of many
Right.
factors.
Of course, they may not be up. I had a chance to talk to the new librarian the other day.
Yeah.
He's very enthusiastic, committed to it. This is not gonna help, but I know we gotta do it.
Brian, how would you feel about maybe 30 out of the library and 20 out of the community center? They have maintenance that could potentially be deferred. And then you come spreading it over.
As far as I'm concerned, it's the same thing, same building, same thing, you know. You
Right,
want-
but they're two different pages. They're two different pages on the budget. One's 430 and the other one's 140,000-ish.
Yeah,
So it really totals more like 570 if we look at it as a combined entity.
yeah. So if you want to do that, I have no problem. It comes out to 50 grand.
Right.
That's fine.
Okay.
All right, then we've got unanticipated income from the tax that came in that Scott sent us the email, was 167,000, correct?
Correct. It was 150.
57, I think I heard.
If I could
If you could, please.
just speak about that a little bit. so that should just be considered as simply prior year collections, just like any other. Now, granted, it was unexpected, but it's a prior year collection that would normally simply flow to surplus in the current year, just so everybody's thinking about that.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's not sitting in some special fund or anything like that.
Right.
It's-
Right.
It was a hell of a job by Scott to
Yes,
come up with that. but-
absolutely.
But it's not, special in any way other than, it was a pleasant surprise.
Okay, looking at Scott's letter, he's putting down the number 165,576. Now, does that include other than, is that over and above anticipated revenue?
So the answer gets a little complicated. If you look at tax collections in total, we are under budget in collections primarily because of current year collections.
Right.
By about $500,000.
Yes.
This helps offset the shortage in current year collections because we are ahead of budget on prior year collections. So I guess you're talking about one pocket versus the other within tax collections.
But it is technically a windfall,
It is.
Right.
and maybe we should put that on our list. 165 was the number?
Well, see, Steve, it might be a windfall in a sense, but it's offsetting a deficit that we have.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate that.
No, I don't, if we were above budget in collections, then I would view it as a windfall. I view it as a stopgap against, it's insurance against the uncollected piece that we have. Is that,
We could have gone 20 years and not collected if things were bad, so it is a windfall. So if we got the windfall, we use the windfall. Saves us taking it from
what do we
someplace
do,
else.
Brian, what do we do to help the $500,000 shortfall that we have to budget?
I understand what you're saying, but I would
Okay.
just like to get through this year. And like I said before, if we have to look at transfer stations or upping fees to get more revenue in, let's let the selectmen, start taking a hard look at different things and looking at staffing and whatever. I want to get through this year. I understand, we're going to be short. You take surplus, you're short. But we're 2 referendums in, and if we don't get down to a number that is equitable to everybody, we're going to be 5 referendums like it was a number of years ago before we got it in. So I'm just saying, Bob, Rob, I understand what you're saying, and I am well aware of it, but we got it, we got the money, use the money.
Let's put it on the list at least.
So 165.
Okay. Anything else? Anyone else have any areas to explore?
Transfer station. How do we stand on a transfer station? Again, I apologize for not having my numbers before.
Transfer station is running approximately 150, it's remarkably consistent from year to year. It's about $150,000 to $160,000 shortfall every year. And what's driving it is essentially fees are too low, but on top of that, we have an aging population in Thompson, so there's a good,
Sorry, Bill. Bill, I got to interrupt. I'm sorry. I can't hear. There's multiple people talking.
sorry.
Guys,
Bill, you got the floor.
Okay, so young folks aren't using the transfer station as much as the older folks are, and the older folks are moving into the $75 discounted fee. So even if you have roughly the same number of users, on a good chunk of them every year, you're moving to half price. So you've got downward pressure on the revenue, even though usership might remain roughly the same. So that's the unfortunate driver of the decrease in permit revenue in sticker revenue, I guess, if you will, related to the transfer station. But it's about $150,000 in the red every year, which essentially is subsidized by
the taxpayer.
non-transfer station taxpayers.
So it's a good topic. I don't think it's anything that we can control tonight. We can talk about it, but we can't do anything about it unless we want to cut their budget from a cost side.
I think we should think about that.
We can think about it, Steve, but I don't think.
Just the number of days that they're open, and let's have an offset.
Well,
Can be,
when you're doing that, Steve, you're talking personnel, because
yeah,
Well,
That's what we spend money on.
the upside of personnel is, at least Joe's got 2 guys, maybe 2 or 3 days, they really get some different work done. Not saying lay him off, but
No.
close that down. Joe gets a bonus that he's got two guys, you know?
Well,
No, we talk about the rec department cutting of personnel. That
Yeah,
different?
what I'm saying is, if you do decrease, say, a day, a week, that person then becomes part of the highway department, just as Josh, one day a week, works with the highway department. And so does Kevin at this point. So in order to save, you're talking a position.
Yeah.
I'm not objecting to that. What I'm pointing out is by decreasing by one day, you have to take a person to accommodate that and make any money. Otherwise, they're just working for the highway department.
I think the selectmen have to take a hard look at the transfer station.
I don't disagree.
So,
I
I
don't
mean-
disagree.
Minimum, everybody should just pay, I'm a senior citizen, whatever, they need to pay. I mean, my God, I can go 5 times a week, you know, whatever. In Putnam, one day.
Yeah.
Get it out there. If you don't get it out, you're screwed, you know?
And not only that, we have the privilege of bulky waste and
Sure.
so forth every day that it's open.
That's right.
Putnam does not.
No, this is once a month in
Yeah.
Bulky. They went in with Pomfret, it's once a month, that's it. I mean, it's a deal of a lifetime and, you know, so.
Also, you see that there was a $40 difference between the senior and the regular. Down, and that was close to half. But instead of keeping it at $40 discount, we made the discount bigger. I think maybe the discount, it should be $5 or $10 if you want to give a discounted value.
Okay, but that's not our decision to make, right?
Right.
So we're looking at was $740,040.
No.
$740. Yeah.
740,000.
Oh, 740,000. Okay, I sorry. All right, so we're at 265. Right, 50/50 and 165, right? 50 rec,
50, yeah.
50 library, well, library, that combination, 165, 265.
Brian, back to the 165, where does that, I get where the money's coming in, I'm not debating that. Where does that come from in terms of a cut? Do we take that out of uncollected? Do we take that out of our 255 uncollected?
Bill has his hand up, Rob.
What's that?
Surplus.
Bill has his hand up for you.
Steve's correct. Yes.
I'm just asking him a question. He doesn't need to put his hand up. Bill, go ahead.
Steve, if we think about that 165, we should consider it as surplus. Because that's ultimately where those tax dollars go. I know nobody
Okay.
surplus word, but to your question about where it would come from, it's surplus.
Right, because that's where it's gonna go when it
Right.
comes in.
Right. But it's surplus money that we didn't even know we had when we started. So it's not like when we said, we're not gonna touch surplus.
Yep, I got it, Brian. It's incremental or windfall surplus or whatever we want to define it, but it's surplus that wasn't there not a few weeks ago. So,
Right.
okay, anyone else have anything?
Well, to Brian's point, I think we need to look at a number of, we don't control the income side, but things like the fire marshal needs to do better at paying for his own department. Transfer station, as we've talked about, building inspector, all these functions need to start covering their cost.
Yep. We're at today, before we do any action on the town, we're at 2.6%, 2.8%, 2.86% below the prior year. I think we need to talk about school. I know that's a big part of the no on the vote. We've got good ideas on the table. We bring the town from 2.86 to 3.5%. I think we're still going to have problems in terms of getting the budget through. if we continue to take it out of the town, I think we need to talk about the school, which I know is not an easy discussion.
Well, the difference right now, I think, is 475,000.
Right. Yeah.
So, okay. I'll put a suggestion out then. I like the idea of getting to 929. That was the normalized rate, and that would require 740,000. Thought here would be to take 50,000 combined from the library based on what we just talked about. Take 250 out of surplus, and it kills me to say that. 165 could be the collection that came in, but take 250 out of surplus. And I think that would push the balance down a little bit, Dave, to 440. 440 out of the school, which would bring the school from just over 4% down to about a 2% climb. Any thoughts or comments on that? So we'd have 50 library combined.
I had the number at 400.
That's what I have.
That's what I came in with, but 440,
Well, for 40 out of surplus, it may not be, it's probably a lot to them, the 40. So if
so
we did.
awful lot.
So Brian, you're saying 400 and then.
I'm saying 400,000 from the school.
And then 290 out of surplus and 50 out of the library?
And then if they go up on their fees like they're supposed to, the revenues that they're projecting are gonna cover, I would think, a significant amount.
Yeah, but we can't plan on it.
I know.
We're
But we know what
dealing with
they,
expenses here.
but they need to plan ahead a little because of next
I
year.
don't
So who sets the
disagree.
income number? Who sets the income number for the transfer?
Sorry, Steve, did you have a question?
Yeah, who sets the number for the income for the transfer station?
The Board of Selectmen do that. The Board of Selectmen set the transfer rate, cost.
I can give a little background if you'd like.
Please do, Bill.
On how that was done. You'll all be shocked to hear that I have a sheet for that. Just let me find it.
Bill, real quick, before you jump into that, I just want to recap where Brian was. Brian, I thought I heard you say maybe 400 from the school, not 440.
Yes,
Up the surplus from my 250 to 290, which would be about 1% of the surplus.
Yeah.
And then 50K, call it library or somewhere else.
Right.
Those three climb up to about 740. Did I
Correct.
get that? Okay. Bill, back to you.
Sure, so the way the e-transfer station revenue is developed, we work with the folks in the tax office. You see on the left-hand side of the screen here, column A, these are all the different flavors of a dump sticker that you can get. This column C is the number of passes that we historically have sold, our current price structure, and then the resulting revenue, and this 222 is the revenue that shows up. You see these are floating over here to the right. Those are just me noodling around about potential price increase scenarios, and if the selectmen were to decide, it enables me to give them a quick answer. Those don't figure into the budget at all. But that's how transfer station fees were developed.
Okay. Thank you, Bill.
Point of-
Outside of our meeting, it's really not, I mean, we could talk about it, but it's really not us to take action on.
Point of information,
Yeah.
can we clarify where we're at? I believe I have jotted down here, recreation 50,000, library and building 30 and 20, that's 100,000. And we were looking at, I think someone said 290.
290 out of
Should
surplus.
that be 240?
Well, let's do it this way.
I don't think we have the rec.
Let's do it this way, Dave.
We're all familiar, right?
165 to 165 for that odd surplus. All right?
Yeah, but
Go ahead, finish.
And then 400 for the school, whatever's left over comes out of surplus to get to the 740.
So Dave, you have it. Brian just reframed it. I dropped the rec. If you want to put the rec back in, that's up to the group to decide. In my frame up, I said, don't act on.
my problem is surplus.
Right.
As I said earlier, we're looking at bonding next year, plus surplus, we're talking $500,000 in the hole before we start. That we have to make up in some fashion.
Yeah.
Understand?
I think we all, I think we all,
Just point of clarification, Bill, on the bonding, that happens next year. That full 248 impacts FY '26 or it impacts FY '27?
We have interest of approximately the same amount next year, and then the bonding kicks in 2027.
Oh, it's a year, it's
So,
not next year.
so you have, well, the bands that we took out this year mature midway through next year. We
Which-
refinance and then the
That's
first,
that's the number you gave me,
yes,
isn't it?
yep.
Yeah.
It's roughly about the same.
Yeah,
So I wanted to clarify, Dave, it sounds like that's a 27, still important, but I don't think that's coming out of the 26 budget.
no, but the present borrowing is payable during next year's budget, which is significantly the same as the bonding number for the following year.
Is that correct, Bill?
Yes.
So the way that's framed then, if I'm understanding it correctly, we have about $250,000 unaccounted for that we have to account for in FY '26. Is that your point, Dave?
We have that in the budget, in our bonds section, it's just an interest.
Okay, so then there's no real unknown added interest expense in '26. It's really coming in '27.
Correct.
Okay,
Okay, so I think we're okay, Dave.
and corrected, Rob.
Okay, no, I just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Thank you.
Because that would take 2% out of surplus, and I would be with you, Dave. I'd have a problem with that. 1% out of surplus to get from 10.1% to 9.1%, to pull 290 out, I could live with that. We get up over that, I'm not feeling too comfortable.
One thing, personally, I would recommend removing a person from the Public Works Department before removing the rec assistant.
We're not, our rec is not in there yet, Steve.
But that's one of the items.
Yeah,
on our
I
table
mentioned
here.
it, but in in Brian's
No,
conversation, he didn't put it in.
I understand.
I hear what you're saying, Steve, but you know, the rec, over the years, the highway department keeps losing people. They've lost people over the years, and although I know what this, whoever the person is, I don't know who the person is, so, I know it takes care of senior stuff and so forth, but, when you start cutting on the people that are plowing and so forth, now we're, you
well,
know,
they're not paving.
well, but they're doing a lot of other stuff. I mean, I understand, listen, we could get into semantics. Yeah, they still have money for paving, but you're talking about safety to the community if the roads don't get done. And if someone calls in or someone gets sick, now you're down 2 people, and next thing you know, we got problems. Do I want to cut the rec position? No, I do not, but.
I just don't think we need it. I don't think you need the extra 50,000 is my point.
Well, if you're willing to take it out of surplus, that's what you get.
That's
I
right.
just don't think you need it. I think with the 290, the 4, and the 50, it's enough.
Yeah.
I'd love to know what that gets us to, because I think that's enough,
That gets us to 1929.
and that's enough.
Well,
I agree.
I think, I mean, I said it earlier, and I'm gonna keep saying it, right? It's, whatever, like,
Which
you're
is,
nitpicking, at least with the library cuts and the other cuts, you're cutting things that are potential capital or improvements or things like that. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the 1% out of the surplus. This is like cutting like sports in a sense for the elderly in the community. I mean, those are the programs she's running. She's giving them things to do. I don't think $50,000, which converts to a minimum amount and still leaves us at 1929, is really worth the damage that that has on the elderly and the community. I just don't think it does. I think 1929 is reasonable. I think it leaves us not where I would like to see us financially. I still think we're below what the town needs to function, but I think it's enough.
so that's 10, this,
Split hairs, go to
100,
300 and like
265.
only lose another 40,000. Like,
So 50/50. Oh, no,
No.
take out the 50 of the rec, if you, what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah,
So
50,
50,
290,
280 and 400.
and
I'll
then-
make a motion. We're rolling around on this. I'm gonna make a motion. It's multifaceted. I'm gonna make a motion. We take $30,000 out of the library 5101 department, $20,000 out of the library building 5102 department. We take $290,000 out of surplus and $400,000 from the school. Total of $740,000 reduction.
I'll second that.
Any additional discussion on the motion?
that puts us at,
1929.
Would
Yes.
you make those corrections and let's see it?
So
Oh, you have it, I'm
I
sorry.
put it in, I've
Okay.
used our little cell over here to do it because
It's easy.
in order to put it on the pages,
Yeah.
I need to specific account. So you see the 740 here in the upper right-hand side of the screen, that's dropped in, and there's your 19.29. If
Thank you, Bill.
the 5101 and 5102, what were the amounts, the 30 and 20, which were which?
30.
30,000 in 5101 and 20,000 in 5102.
Gotcha, thank you.
Any other discussion on the,
Just a question for information. The 30,000 falls within the library budget, which they have control over.
Right.
The 20,000 falls under the town budget.
Right.
Which they do not have control over. Am I correct?
They do and they don't.
I don't-
I think you're right. I think the library board only oversees 5101.
Yeah.
I think so. I'm not positive, Dave, but I think that's how it works.
That's what I understand.
I think I'd,
Just a
I think I
matter of
would take the,
clarification.
I think it might make more sense to take the 50 out of the library itself. And if they're able to save money in some other area, counter that during the year by taking it, by shifting them to giving them funds. But let them manage it, which is the library, the board of trustees will do that. Because they effectively manage the activity center there, community center.
I don't care either way.
I would rather do the 30/20.
Either way works, I guess.
Another reason why I'm hedging my bet on the rec too is I don't like taking out a position. No, I'm just saying, Amy's not here, all right? Is a selectman here? Any selectman? Okay, great. Well, excuse me, I apologize. I just.
What
you're
made me
making-
look at recreation initially was the significant increase.
Yeah.
Understood.
And that's what I was gonna recommend, but I tossed the whole thing out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be comfortable with just
I guess,
I
I get.
think because sorry.
before
No,
hours.
I just, without input from the selectmen saying we're gonna cut 20,000 out of this line item or this budget, we've gone weeks of taking out $10 for pencils and whatever, and then all of a sudden we're randomly taking 20. That's why I'm saying if we do 50 in the library, they can take it anywhere they want.
Yeah, but they can't do it on building. That's-
No, I know that, I'm just saying,
But they
That's
effectively
why I
can.
like it split.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I think it's enough. I think it puts us,
I
I
don't
think
argue
people
the
have to
50.
be,
Yeah.
I think people have to be realistic. I feel for all of us who are looking at the bills, I do, and I understand, but at the same time, you gotta be able to pay bills too, right? If people in their houses understand that they're not gonna be able to, they also have to understand that the town's not gonna be able to. And the ramifications and trying to claw back some of this is heartbreaking for those of us that have longevity that we're looking at for this town.
all right, I'm gonna second this motion because
I
we'll be
did
here.
already.
No, did you? I did.
I think it was seconded, Brian. We're in conversation. Are there any other discussion around the
No.
motion?
I'm very concerned about the school, $400,000. What increase they have is already taken up by their special ed requirements by law. They are basically, this is a cut to the real budget, to the non-special ed budget.
I understand that and I share your concern. I don't think we have a choice. I know that the people in this community who are voting no, one of the reasons is the school budget.
I think the reason they're voting no is because the reval, and they think the reval
Well,
has made,
that's part of it,
has
and I've been saying
increased the
it-
cost.
I've been saying that for a month.
Well, if we cut the money, no matter what, if they come under budget or over budget next year, we're gonna have to pick it up in some way,
As long
you
as-
know?
Thank you.
Well, we're gonna have to,
We need
but
to
you know.
understand that.
But, well, they gonna need to, but, you know, if heaven forbid, they come to us in, you know, mid-April, say we're screwed, we need, because of special ed or whatever,
Or in July.
yeah, we're gonna
Well,
have to.
I'm not looking at April, I'm looking at June.
That's right. I do not wanna cut
We
the
heard that
money.
last year when we came up with
Yeah,
400,000.
I do not wanna cut the
So-
money. And it's also a problem that we have to get our budget done, and the state's not gonna give us our numbers, real numbers,
Until next week.
next week or later, you know? So
That's right.
I do not wanna cut it, but Dave's comment is correct, and
As long as we understand, may have to be revisit this.
Yeah, same here, Brian. Any other discussion on the motion on the floor?
Could we review that motion, so?
if Nikki keeps
Each of
talking,
us-
I'm gonna have a Reese's Pieces thing here.
Did you ask to review the motion, Dave?
Pardon?
Yes, he did.
I can review it. The motion that's on the floor, that was by me and was seconded by Nikki. To remove $30,000 out of the library, Department 5101. Remove $20,000 out of the library building, or what we call the community center, building 5102. I'm sorry, Department 5102. Remove $290,000 out of surplus, which would be roughly 1%. And remove $400,000 from the school budget for a total of $740,000. And as shown on the screen, that would move us to a 19.29 mill rate. That's the motion and the second. Any other discussion?
We've beaten the horse enough. Let's vote.
Okay. Hearing none, and it's hard for me to see the room, so I'm not gonna necessarily go in order. But I'll start with Dave. How do you vote?
I'll vote, no.
You vote no. Brian, how do you vote?
A reluctant yes.
Nate, how do you vote?
As much as I hate to take it, but for the town as a whole, like, I'm really nervous about other departments, so I'm gonna vote yes.
Thank you. Steve, how do you vote?
Reluctant, yes, also.
Nikki, how do you vote?
Yes.
And Rob, Wurge, I'll vote yes, so that passes 5-1. Thank you, everyone.
I don't have my cheat sheet to make the final motion.
Well, anything else anyone would like to talk about?
So,
Just Nikki's motion. Bill, you got up there?
Sure, Nikki, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I don't have my cheat sheet today.
It's up there, it's up there.
So, let's see. All right, so I move to send to the Board of Selectmen the budget consisting of the expense amount of, oh, there's all numbers there. So it's 31,189,394. With a capital, where's the capital?
278,445.
278,445, which is a mill rate of 19.29. There's one more number too, right? Or is that all of them? That's all of them.
Tax warrant number usually.
Total tax warrant.
Total tax warrant of 21,732,664. And yes, I can see that from here.
Okay, thank you for the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Steve has the second. Any discussion on the motion?
I don't like it. Just so you know.
I know. We know that, Nikki. Any discussion? Anyone else?
no. Is that a vote?
Okay. I'll work in reverse. Nikki, how do you vote?
Yes.
Steve?
Who, what did he say?
What?
Steve,
Yes.
Nate,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes,
and Rob Wurge will vote yes, so that passes 6-0. Okay, does someone have a question?
What are the dates of, what would be the dates next then?
I think the referendum's June
June
2nd.
second, July 2nd.
July 2nd.
And I won't be here. Okay? If it passes, I'll be in Aruba.
We'll dial you in. We'll connect you in, Brian, from afar.
From Aruba. How's that? Send me the.
Okay. So the referendum would be 7-2, based on us completing our work tonight. Does anybody else have anything before we move to the next line item in the agenda?
Moving on.
Okay, the next item on the agenda would be citizens' comments. I'm going to open it up again first to the room. Is there a citizen in the room that has a comment at this time?
Yes, you do.
Somebody has their hand up. Please stand up and state your name and address.
Heather Santos, 77 Hackstrom Road. I know, everything is not roses today. The $400,000 cut to the school is going to be devastating. I do want to say, though, that I think between the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen, that we need to do a better job educating our public. There is a lot of misinformation going on the social media led by, a particular faction, and they are listening to that. They are listening to the fact that a 17 mill rate is where this needs to be. They need to be educated that 19.29 is flat. 50% is going to see a decrease potentially. Whatever those numbers are, it needs to be like blasted from this office, from the selectmen, and from the Board of Finance. It can't be other people kind of feeding information, because people are listening to that as fact, and it's not. I also think that, the fund balance is a real thing. It's a real problem, and I also don't think they believe that. I don't think they understand what the ramifications of it going below are. They don't believe that the things that are being threatened will actually happen. And I think that needs to be an education coming from, again, this building, whether it's the Board of Finance or the Board of Selectmen. It's just, I think that between people not understanding how to calculate their increase, people not understanding the decreases in the auto, people hearing misinformation, the fear that it might be thousands of dollars more. And granted, there are people that have thousands of dollars of increase if they live in premier properties in this town. Or if they built a new home, or if they put on a huge addition and big improvements between now and 5 years ago. I understand that. But a bulk, 50%, are gonna see a decrease, not even what they paid last year. So whatever this board can do and the Board of Selectmen can do to educate our public better, versus just putting out line item budgets that nobody reads. I think what the assessor did was fantastic, in opening his doors and offering people to come and educate themselves, holding seminars and all of that. I think that was great. I think we need to do more of that, and have it to be clear and concise and to the point. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comment. Are there any other citizens in the room that have a comment?
You have one more?
Okay, please state your name and address.
Sean Brissett, Lowell Davis Road. In opening comments, there was a resident that said that we're the definition of insanity and doing the same thing over and over again. I've been coming to these meetings pretty consistently for about 13 years, and I couldn't agree more with her. Underfunding the town, underfunding the school. I know it's citizens' comments, so you can play the game of, you don't interact. I'd love to hear from members of the Board of Finance how the path that we are on is not leading to either state control or bankruptcy or both. Because we're appeasing people who clearly do not care about the town. They will use all kinds of excuses about wasting money, but never offer any real waste when you ask them to show it. They will use excuses like, we don't have enough kids in the high school, we should close it, without ever answering, then what? We've shown how much more outsourcing would be. They love to vote no, but want to give away the right to vote on the budget for the high school students, because no other town is going to give you the right to vote for the school you're sending the kids to. So That's what the Board of Finance is appeasing every year for the past 13 years that I've been involved, because this group has been doing this for 13 years. So I would love somebody who's in charge of the fiscal health of this town to explain how this path doesn't lead to either bankruptcy or state control or both. And I also hope that 30 years after I leave my job, I'm not so full of myself as to think that I still know what goes on there when it has changed so much in 30 years.
Thank you, Sean. We are not going to get into citizens' debate or conversation, but I appreciate the comment, and I'll remind all citizens I have an open door policy, and anyone can reach out to me anytime they want. I'd be happy to talk to anyone about the topics. Any other citizens in the room that have a comment at this time?
Yes, you have another one.
Please state your name and address.
Justin Young, Fairway Drive. Couple of notes from tonight. One is the contractual salary increases from the school this year was $664,000. The total cut to the school this year is $700,000. I've heard tonight this defer maintenance, defer maintenance, defer maintenance. We've done that in the past, and that's what led to the track going to the point where it was beyond repair and had to be replaced. We did that in the past for the HVAC for the school. It was beyond repair and needs to be replaced. We almost did that with the roof on the school where it was beyond repair and needed to be replaced. So let's be careful about how many times we use defer maintenance. On the closing of the high school, let's take some math into perspective. $18,000 per student, and that's low because I've looked at Woodstock and I've looked at Marionopolis, and it's $20,000. Times 178 students, that's $3.2 million. The current operating budget for our current Turtle Up Memorial High School is $2.9 million. And we have control over the $2.9 million and the curriculum and what happens in there, less the state guidance. Go someplace else, we don't. Let's also remember that the Board of Education gave back to the town to support the town's surplus fund $260,000 not 6 months ago. That seems to be forgotten. We have also, the school has also lost a significant amount of federal grant money, and excess cost has gone away. We went from 100% reimbursement on excess cost to 65-ish, 64, 65% on excess cost grant. Everything has worked against the school's budget this year, and I know that there are some financial hardships that are going on in this country, in this town specifically. But we are, in my opinion, we are on a road to bankruptcy on a freight train that has no clear path at the end, and it's going 1,000,000 miles an hour. And I second the citizen who spoke before me. I need someone to tell me that this town is not on the path for financial troubles in the future or bankruptcy.
Thank you for your comment. Are there any other citizens in the room that have a comment?
I think you're good.
Okay, thank you, Nikki. Seeing none, we'll move to the Zoom. I know of two. We'll start with the two that I see. The first, Sally has her hand raised. So I'll give the floor to Sally.
Thank you, Rob. Sally White, East Thompson Road. The mechanics of running a school and understanding the exchanges between the state and the school doesn't change over time. And to suggest that there are people involved that don't understand what's going on is ludicrous and highly disrespectful. People that were able to do these things decades ago still have the ability to notice some of the policy changes, but the mechanics of all of these things don't change. Recreation is fluff. It didn't even exist until the mid-70s. You might have considered actually reducing the director perhaps by half, and or even more than that, but I think that might have been a place to start. The the town, the library, and the schools are top-heavy with administrators and with staff. And there's still fat in the town. I think the lack of confidence from the taxpayers is that the school is likely padding their budget. And some people may come out of their chairs, but there may be people that actually sit on the Board of Finance and sit on the Board of Ed that don't even realize how that budget is sometimes constructed and where money can be hid or moved around. The main function of the town is the roads. That's the most basic responsibility, are the upkeep and to have good roads. There was a comment about people have to pay bills and the town has to pay bills. But the taxpayers don't live to feed the state being the town in this instance at that level. And to suggest that the taxpayers who have voted 2.5 to 1 and now 2 to 1 need to be educated, that's only going to make them buckle down harder, because that suggests that only one side can have an opinion, only one side can do research, and only one side has the intelligence to see through what's going on or to study and analyze a budget and the structure of the town. No, the taxpayers don't need to be educated. They're pretty good, prepared, and intelligent group. And if you begin to demean the hand that feeds you, you're going to lose. I think you made a great effort tonight, and I think probably a lot of that could have been done before. I think if you had taken the advice of some of the more wiser people on the board from the get-go, the budget would have been passed by now. And so thank you, Rob, for the opportunity, and appreciate for your leadership there.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments. I think Amanda jumped in the chat that she couldn't raise her hand. Can someone unmute Amanda Jean Lincoln, please?
Hi, Amanda Jean Lincoln, 20 Leon Street. I find it completely absurd that someone would call recreation fluff. I do so much more than just schedule exercise and so much more than just fundraising. I am the face for all intended purposes for the recreation department with the seniors. I am very heartbroken at the fact that even cutting my position was brought up. That makes me unbelievably upset at the fact that my seniors would lose out. My seniors mean everything to me. The town means everything to me. And I think that for someone to call recreation fluff and that it came out in the 70s, recreation has always been around. It may have not been on the forefront of everything, but it is everything in this town. The library is everything. Recreation is everything. The school is everything. The town is everything. And if people don't want to spend money to make money, then it's very upsetting. And the fact that I have instituted so many different programs coming from everything from the lifelong learning to getting the $24,000 ARPA funds grant for the seniors to bringing a partnership with various exercise companies and programs to lower the cost of these exercise programs for the seniors and the adults in town. The fact that someone would call recreation fluff is unbelievably upsetting.
Amanda, thank you. We appreciate your comments. Thank you for that. Anyone else?
And that's really all I have to say is I love my job. I love my seniors and I love my
Okay. Thank you, Amanda. Any other citizen on the Zoom have a comment at this time?
Rob, you have a hand up.
Valerie, we'd like to, Valerie Clark, over to you.
Valerie Clark, Elm Road. I don't appreciate having my intentions twisted by another citizen. However, I will reiterate that my goal originally was that you at least keep the budget flat. And I recognize that this is probably not the forum for me to say that I think we need to be able to do something about what is very clearly an unfair reevaluation. That redistribution of value throughout the town was not equitable. And we need as citizens to take the next steps to get that reevaluation examined and reevaluate all the properties more fairly. We would not be in this situation if that reevaluation had been done equitably. Thank you.
Thank you, Valerie. Appreciate your comments. It looks like Brian has his hand up. Brian Lafredo, you have the floor.
All right, I just wanted to speak on behalf of the Recreation Department. I'm not chiming in on anything else tonight. I just was also disturbed about the work that Amanda and Brian do in that department. They are my partners with running the Turkey Trot, another big fundraiser for town. I am in the office and I never see them sitting around chatting. They are always running programs, creating programs, finding things that make this a town. A town isn't just nuts and bolts, it's heart and soul. And that recreation department is the heart and soul. They are there with programs for our school children. They're there with programs for our seniors. This is one of the reasons they are partial recipients of the Turkey Trot proceeds, because they do great things and they also help me with raising that money, so they deserve every bit of it. They're always there. I go to do something in the office. There's people coming in their office all the time, asking for help, asking questions, getting involved with things. I can't imagine a town without a recreation department, and both of them are needed in that department. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate your comments. Anyone else? Any other citizen on Zoom have a comment at this time? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to our next agenda item, Board of Finance member comments. Anyone in the Board of Finance have a comment at this time?
I could say a lot, but I'm not gonna say anything. My wife told me to keep my mouth shut tonight, so I'm just absorbing what was said. I'll talk to some individuals like you on the side, but I understand what everybody said. And I think if Board of Ed and citizens here from the first day the budget workshop started, I said, and looked each one of you in the eye and said, it's gonna be a bad year. And I think I was upfront from the beginning. So to make this like it is a shock, please, I said it up at the high school. You're not gonna get the same as last year. And it's unfortunate, we got hit with a perfect storm. I understand what some people are saying. I understand what everybody's saying. And it's unfortunate that 6 of us have to make the determination to try to be equitable for everybody. And I think that's what I said at the first workshop, that we have a job to be equitable for everybody in town. And we did the best we could. Now, it's on my stance from now, if this goes down again, I'm gonna say we're gonna take $1 out of the budget and we're gonna go to referendum again. And I don't care if we spend $5,000, and don't tell me it's $24,000 to do a thing, it's not. But I'm just gonna say, I'll take $1 out of someplace and we'll go to the next referendum. But this is as low as we can go. It is. That's just my opinion.
Thank you, Brian. Any other Board of Finance member have comment at this time?
So I'm with Brian. I really do want to keep my mouth shut, but it's just impossible. I think I said it at the beginning, right? We have 2 pillars here that are just not aligned. But at some point, people have to understand that it is not fat, it is not poor judgment, it is state mandate and requirements. You elected the 6 of us based on the beliefs that we all had and the differences between all of us. You wouldn't want 6 people sitting at this table who all agree on everything, because then there would be no conversations and no ability to get where we need to go. That's the same for our state representatives. So the next time you're sitting at a poll and you're staring at the state representatives, think about today. Think about the requirements. Think about the Board of Ed's plea to writing letters. And I think I've said it and I'll say it again. Like, I want to open the library and have people come in and we will show them how to write those letters and sign their names. This is a state issue. This is not a town issue. We are a small town suffering from the larger fish in the sea who are just eating us alive when we have no place to go. We have nothing else we can do. I understand that it's hitting people's pockets, but this is flat. And every person that has come to me that has said, I want it to be flat, is the same people who come to me and say, I got a 1% raise at work and it's BS, I wanted 4. You can't have it both ways. You can't complain that electric's going up and gas is going up and all of these bills are going up, but you want the town to go down or stay flat. Those two things just don't coincide. And that's the educational piece that I have referred to. It's not about intelligence. It's about understanding the alignment between what you face in your own personal budgets and what this town is facing in its budget. And if you can't see that it is the same thing and that we are putting our town in positions that it should never have been in, that we are now going to take years to claw back out of, that we were trying to get out of, then you're ignorant to what's going on in the state of Connecticut. And I'm sorry, but if you're not willing to pay, then you don't get the services. And that's where we're going next, is that we have no choice but to start cutting services that mean something to people. The groceries have gone up, everything has gone up. If bills around here have to start going up from a dump or whatever, then that needs to start happening. We need to take some time to evaluate the income side of what it is. And I appreciate all the comments. We hear it. I appreciate the no's and I understand it, but there's got to be a reality check at some point. I'm sorry. That's just Nikki's opinion.
You went over 3 minutes, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you, Nikki. That was 3 minutes and 25 seconds. I'm just kidding. Always appreciate your
You
feedback.
were serious.
Any other,
I have one comment, just to amend, I think I speak for all of us, that it was certainly not personal at all, the comments about that position. I think the end result was that we supported that position, so I hope you don't think there was anything personal about that discussion at all. I know it certainly wasn't on my part, and I think on
Nobody's part.
everybody's
No, it
part.
wasn't.
I didn't even know who the person was.
I apologize for hurting you. I really do.
Yep, I agree, Steve. Good point.
Thank you, Bill, for everything that you, I know I didn't say it, but I joke, it's the BS budget, but I appreciate what you do for us. Thank you.
You already spoke.
I don't care.
any other Board of Finance members have a comment?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Give him a chance.
Oh, I didn't say anything. I'm sorry.
Well, Rob might want to say something.
I'm going to be really quick. I just have like 2 basic comments. Just one that it is emotional and it is difficult, and I know that we've touched a lot of sensitive, pain points for a lot of people, not just within rec, but across the board, the school, etc. And the comments about it, not being personal. It's not. We're trying to get our job done, and we're trying to balance, a broad number of people that are voting. 27% of the voters in town came out, and it's very clear. And if we ignore that for our own intentions or other intentions in the room, then we're not going to get our job done. So there's a balance there. And then secondly, I just want to comment quickly on the surplus. That's a problem for me. I was pretty closed-minded about it. I didn't want to take a dime out of it. And I thought on it and really reflected on it and said something has to give. And I bring that up just as an example that I hope others will also take their point of view and say, in a balancing situation, not all parties get exactly what they want, and nobody really here is getting exactly what they want. But I would ask the people that weren't supportive of the budget to look at it as a compromise and say, it may not be what you want. I didn't want to take money out of surplus, but I came to the realization that there has to be some compromise. So I would just ask the broader community to kind of look at this and say, enough's, this is enough, and we've done a lot. We could keep pushing to do more and more, and it's going to start to get crippling. So I just, appeal to the community that we all have to make compromises, and this is not a bad endpoint from all sides and all spectrums. I think we can make this work for the town. And to Brian's point, I don't think we want to come back again and do this again. So let's do our best to support the town and support this budget. With that, is there a motion to adjourn?
I have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.